This morning, you guys remember that we partnered with India partners in the past to help with rescue from the streets and also the orphanages. And so this morning we have John Sparks with us from India Partners and Bob Chrysler from I-5810. But John's going to share some with us this morning. So welcome, John Sparks.
So I'm very privileged to be here, and before I joined India Partners, I was living in India, and so I didn't know much about America. You know, if you live in America, the rest of the world, you don't know a lot about them. When you live in India, you don't know much about America. And so one thing I didn't know anything about was radio. And so since coming with India Partners, we've been working with AFR, and John Riley has come to India a couple times with India Partners. And one of the things I've learned about radio, about American Family Radio, is you're really in the business of discipleship. And that you have, I don't know how many listeners you have. I always say you have 1 million listeners.
About
Okay.
2.5.
2.5. I underestimated you. You're discipling 2.5 million. So you're bigger than any mega church. Okay? And you're in a business of discipling. And in that role of discipling, you have a big task. And Jesus said, Matthew 28:19, he said, disciple all nations, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded you. And so understanding and keeping and conveying the commands of Christ are very important. And so I like to dig into what are the commands of Christ. And one of the commands of Christ that we're talking a little about this the other day, one of the commands of Christ that's interesting is the command, abide in me. And so he's taken this thing, and it's like, is this a difficult task? This is a painful task, abiding in Christ? No, this is an invitation to fellowship with Jesus. But it's something that's of great importance because it determines everything else we do. I cannot be a good father. I see a million dads someplace. I cannot be a good father if I'm not abiding in Christ. In fact, Jesus said in John 15:5, I think it is, apart from me, you can do nothing. And, you know, there's a lot of things I can do. I can sin. He says that's nothing. I can teach Sunday school. I've done this, so I know I can do it. I can teach Sunday school apart from Christ. And he says that's nothing. Amounts to nothing. Don't think you've accomplished anything. Even if you had good delivery, you still accomplished nothing because you're not abiding in Christ. So abiding in Christ becomes the thing that I strive for the greatest. Even in John 8:15, he says,